Today I wanted to cover the things that you should be doing and looking for once you get the keys to your new home. Number one is this, it's a huge one that a lot of people don't think about because they're just so excited about owning a new home, is changing the locks or rekeying the doors. At least the minimum you want to do is the actual entries that use keys that at the minimum, you want to do the front door and the garage door. If you have other doors that enter into the house, you also want to look into getting those rekeyed or changed altogether. And the reason for this is because you just don't know who the last owners lent out keys to or even made keys for whenever they went away, so people can watch their home or even access their home in case of an emergency. And you definitely don't want other people to be having keys to your home. This includes changing the codes on garage doors or any digital locks that may be on the home themselves. And before we continue, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I would love to hear your comments on any of the stuff that I mentioned today, if you remember to do it or if you skipped it and how long it took you before you finally got to it. Well, let's get started. One of the big things that you can overlook on a home and just by living in it is the maintenance on the home. And one of the easiest maintenance things on a home are the filters. Whether those are water filters in the refrigerator, softeners that may need more salt in them, or one of the main things that get overlooked a lot are the simple things such as filters. You want to definitely replace the filter on the heating system and air conditioning system. If you have any water filters, those should also be replaced. Humidifiers are another important one that people overlook. Other filters you may have in your home are things like water filters inside of a refrigerator. So just make sure you cover all the ground and cover all those filters and make sure you get them replaced so you know the date that they'll need to be replaced in the future. The other thing that goes along with that is the batteries in fire alarms and carbon monoxide detectors. Sometimes it's just best to replace those. Those usually only have a 10-year life, and depending on the age of your home, if your home ain't brand new, you just don't know how long they've been in there, and people are pretty bad at either replacing those or even keeping the batteries up to date. So it's best to just replace them all, and this way, once again, you know what's good and what's not. One thing that maybe everybody won't want to do, but hopefully you got your home inspected before you purchased it. I know just recently a lot of people bought homes without inspections, which I would never recommend under any circumstances, but at least get the house inspected so you know what may need work in the immediate future. So with that being said, one thing, if you're capable and you have it, is to walk the attic. Go up inside the attic. It's usually going to be inside of a room or a hallway where you have to get on a ladder and climb up in there. Sometimes homes will have ladders that come out of the ceiling that you can climb up to. The things you want to look for up there are maybe animals that have built nests up there that somehow gained access depending on the age of your home. You want to look for water spots on the ceiling of possible roof leaks that nobody knew about or maybe were in the past that weren't mentioned in any kind of disclosures, that you can just make sure that you're not getting rained on. This way you're not getting rained on if you find a leak that nobody knew about. Another thing you want to look for is old fans that may have been added to that home that are no longer operational. This is a very, very key point here, something that is a safety issue that can occur. I actually had a friend sell her home, and the day she moved out of her home, the roof caught fire, which was a faulty ceiling attic fan, and half of the house burned down. Make sure that it's working. Make sure that it's wired right. If not, at the minimum, disconnect it or hire a professional electrician to come in and take care of that for you. Another thing to check when you're in the attic is any odd wires that just look like they're out of place, wires that are hanging that aren't connecting to anything. These are all going to be safety issues. Hopefully you had an inspection on the home, and if there was any of these, you're already aware of them. And the last thing you want to check up there is just make sure your insulation is covering all of your ceiling. You don't want any spots that are maybe uncovered up there because somebody was up there in the past and moved insulation out of the way in order to do some work and never put it back. So you definitely want to make sure insulation is covered all the way up there. If there's spots missing or you think that some should be added, you can actually purchase this stuff on your own and re-add it, or you can hire a professional to do it. If you ever walked the attic in your home and you found some weird things, comment below and let us know what you found or any issues you found that you were glad you did find. Another one that goes along with this is crawl spaces. There's not a lot of places that have small crawl spaces that you can't get into. Most crawl spaces in Colorado you can at least kneel in and walk in. One thing you don't want to build up in there is cardboard boxes. Cardboard boxes can gather moisture and then become a mold problem in the future. But overall, all you're doing is just making sure no animals have built nests down there and everything's clean and dry. Another item you'll want to check is to make sure you go around the house and any outside lights, either replace them, just make sure they work and are functioning properly with sensors. A lot of times those sensors go bad or they're damaged by the sun and they no longer work, and you definitely want lights working around your home at nighttime. One thing I do once every 2 weeks or so is I'll walk my property line and just make sure there's no holes in my fence, a fence that broke, any screws that need to be pushed back in, areas that may be coming loose just due to old age or water is tearing up a board that's causing the fence to lean. You want to fix these items, at least prepare to fix them before something like winter shows up. Another thing to check is to go and open and close all the windows and make sure they all lock properly. It's easy to overlook a window just because it's been closed for so long and you never use it, and come to find out the lock is broken on it and it never has worked, or the window's just warped and not opening all the way. You definitely want all your windows to work. A good way to check your basement for moisture if your basement is not finished yet is to take a trash bag and duct tape 4 corners of it on the floor like a square and let it sit there for 24 to 72 hours, and then just pick it up. When you pick it up, if there's moisture on that concrete, then you do have moisture underneath your basement, and just be aware of that if you do decide to finish your basement in the future. If you pick it up and it's totally dry, you're good to go. Well, we're almost done with the list of checks. If you've thought of anything I've missed so far, make sure you comment down below. Another thing you want to do is familiar yourself and perhaps your family, if they're old enough to understand it, is things like where the water shutoff is, the sprinkler shutoff, the gas shutoff, and circuit breakers. You do want to be aware of these things because let's say someone is home alone and the lights go out for some reason, but the lights are all working and it was just a circuit breaker. This way someone knows how to fix it. Also, be aware of how to turn off and reset a circuit breaker. There is a safe way to do it and a wrong way to do it. Believe it or not, those circuit breakers can explode. Another thing you want to check outside is just make sure if you have any sprinkler boxes, open them up, make sure they're cleaned out and they're maintained and none of your valves are broken. Something I used to do once every month was to purge my water heater, and that just requires you putting a water hose on it. They usually have a valve on it, and then just emptying it all the way out and refilling it back up. This will get rid of any sediment that's building up down there and slow the deterioration of the rod inside and the water tank itself. My new water heater fortunately does this on its own in certain cycles. So that covers all the things to actually visually check on and get to at least the first month of your house so you're aware of everything that's going on with your home. And the last thing I want to do, and this is the last final tip, is to make sure you have all your documents in one place that you can get to them. Your warranty, your mortgage, who owns your mortgage, who you're going to be sending it to. All those pertinent details are very important. If you have a warranty, make sure you know what it covers. You don't want something to go out and you end up paying for it and finding out you could have just paid a fee, a small fee, and it would have been covered. And then if you did get an inspection on your home, it's good to take those papers and just review them and see what the recommendations from the inspector were. A lot of times, not all things have to be fixed, but there may be some recommendations on simple things like take duct tape off of this, tighten this, or replace something simple that costs less than $10. Remember, inspectors will give you a full overview of what's going on, but not all of it is immediate work that needs to be done on a home. Some of it are just recommendations to keep things lasting longer. That's all I have for today. Once again, I'm Sonny in Colorado, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. And until next time, keep killing it.